Continue with lesson 18. We are now going to be able to graph this equation. And it starts by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. Now, you know how to graph this equation. There it is. But we would do an input-output table for it, right? Okay, and then if you remembered, I told you that you should pick multiples of 3 and figure it all out. I got a way easier way to do it. Now, if I got a way easier way, don't be like, well, Mrs. Messing, why did you tell us how to do it that way? You're going to need the way to do input-output tables for when you do into like graphing like curved shapes like parabolas and everything when you get into quadratic formulas. So you're still using input-output tables. And since you're using input-output tables, we might as well make this one, the linear equations, easy to graph. So name the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so our slope, okay, y equals mx plus b. Our slope is whatever the coefficient of x is. Even if it's listed second, whatever number is attached to the x, that's 2/3. Our y-intercept, I'm just going to say y-int, because I struggle writing that word apparently, is whatever's being added on. Well, the 1 is being added on. Okay. So these, once you identify those two things, these are the steps you take. Step number 1, you plot the y-intercept. So my y-intercept here is 1. So I'm going to go to my y-axis, because it's a y-intercept, at 1, and I'm going to put a dot. Step number 2 says you're going to apply the slope. Now notice I'm using the word apply. A lot of times people think slope is a point on the graph. It's not. It's a number describing the steepness of a line. So that's why we're going to apply that slope from the y-intercept. Okay, we're not going to 0, 0. We're going to apply our slope from the y-intercept. Now, how do we do that? You go back to your rise over run. So from this point, I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run, go to the right 3. Where I stop, where I end up after both movements, I put another point. So you put your y-intercept, you apply your slope, then put a point, a dot, point, whatever. And then step 3, don't forget this one, says draw a line through the points, not connect the dots. You want to draw a line through the points. Because remember, this line right here that we're drawing represents a whole bunch of little points. They're all solutions to our equation. In fact, if you wanted to see, pick a point in the graph, okay? So for example, let's say I wanted to pick this point right here, okay? So it's not either of our original points. This is the point 6, 5. This is the point 6, 5. This is my x value, this is my y value. Now, this is on the line, but it wasn't one of our original points. If I plug that in to y equals 2/3 times x plus 1, our equation right here, I can go, I'm going to say y, does 5 equal 2/3 times 6, so I'm going to raise 6 over 1, plus 1? Well, 2/3. If I cross reduce, 3 goes into itself 1 time, 3 goes into 6 2 times. I'm left with 2, no I'm not, 2 times 2 is 4. I'm left with 4 plus 1. Does that equal 5? Yeah, it does. Okay, so every point on this line will make this true. That's why we draw the line. That being said, if you follow these steps, the line's pretty easy to draw. So let's try another example. Okay, so we're going to start by naming the slope and the y-intercept. My slope is whatever number is attached to my x. In this case, it's -3/4. Okay? You can either choose to write as a -3/4, or you can put +3 over -4, and I'll show you why they both work. But don't do this. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. That's not the same. Okay? All right, and then my y-intercept, is not 2. Keep change, change. It's a negative 2, and it's really important, okay? Don't give 2 a complex. They've got a negative 2 is a different spot than a positive 2, okay? Oh, I guess I didn't need to draw that line. All right, so follow our steps right here. Plot the y-intercept. Apply the slope from the y-intercept, draw a line. So plot the y-intercept. Here's my y-axis. I go to negative 2, put a dot. I'm going to apply my slope, my rise over run. And I'm going to say that's negative 3 over 4. So I'm going to rise negative 3, so I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to run to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, put a point. Remember, I said you could do a positive 3 over negative 4. Let's see how that works. What happens if I rise 3? 1, 2, 3, and then I run a negative 4, meaning I got to go left negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you notice about all of those points? Hopefully you're telling me that, you know what, they still all lie on a line. Okay, so that's why it doesn't matter each way. Okay, they're all going to be on the same line. Okay, this is going to come in super handy, guys, when you have to do a lot of graphing later when we get to systems and then in algebra. Okay, so let's just look at a few more examples. Remember, it's always important when you see something like this to rewrite it as a plus. Y equals 5 over 2 times x plus a negative 4. Instead of saying minus 4, we say plus negative 4. You don't have to as long as you recognize that as a negative. So if we need to name our slope and y-intercept, well, our slope is the coefficient of x, the number attached to the x, 5 over 2, and our y-intercept is the number being added on, negative 4. It doesn't matter the order, okay? The one with the x is the slope, the one without is the y-intercept. Let's graph it, okay? Plot your y-intercept. Here's my y-axis. My y-intercept is 4, so I'm going to come down to negative 4. Put a dot. Now I'm going to apply the slope from this dot. Remember, rise over run. And in this case, they're both positive. So I'm going to rise 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to run 2. 1, 2. That's step 2. And then step 3 says we draw that line between them. Or through them. Okay? And that's it. Okay? The more you do it, the easier it'll get, and you'll just start like seeing it. You'll see it. As soon as you see that equation, you'll see it, which is really important to why we want to solve them for y. Okay? Oh, let's look at this one. The equation 1x plus 0 can be simplified to y equals x. Now, guys, we've done y equals x. We did it with a input-output table. If y equals x, we could say, well, if x is 0, y is 0. If x is 1, y is 1. If x is 2, y is 2. They have to be, okay? Because they have to equal each other, okay? So if it says graph y equals x, we can rewrite that as 1x, if we want a coefficient, plus our 0. If we add 0 onto this, we're not changing it. So our slope is 1. If we want it to be rise over run, we could write it as 1 over 1. Remember, we can put that 1 on the bottom. And our y-intercept is 0. Plot the y-intercept. Right here at 0. Apply your slope from this point. Up 1 over 1. Okay, you could even plot it again. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Draw a line. Now, remember what I said, that we could have got here from input-output table. 1, 1, right here. 2, 2, right here. 3, 3. So you can see this line is representing all these points. Okay, so don't panic when you see something like this. Add a 0 to it. That's your y-intercept. Put a coefficient of 1 in there. Oh, last one? All right. This one looks a little different, okay? This one says graph the point 0, 2. 0, 2. Find another point of the graph using the slope 2, 7. So what that means, rise over run. So if I want to find another point, I could rise 2, and then run 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then connect the points to make a line. I don't really like the whole connect the points thing. I want to draw a line through it. Maybe. Make it the right spot here. Okay. And now it wants us to draw a different line that goes through 0, 2 and has that slope. All right, so I'll pick a different color here. It goes through the point 0, 2, and it has a slope of 2/7. So I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 7. And you know what? Not going to happen. Because go back to the title of this lesson. There is only one line passing through a given point with a given slope. Okay? And that comes important later, but this is it. It doesn't, if you have a point and you have a slope, there's only one line that can go through it. You can't come up with anything because if you do, it would be a different slope or be going through a different point. Okay? Big takeaways from this lesson. Be able to identify your y-intercept and your slope, and you should be able to graph the equation of the line pretty quickly.